And let's smooth it out. So in our menu system here, you can click and drag this out if you don't see all of it, however you want to, whatever size you want to make it. Let's go to this wrench right here. These tabs are all sorts of different tools, and we'll use a couple of them here. Let's use the wrench. That's modifiers, and it modifies them in different ways. And usually we want to smooth things out. I use this modifier on 90% of my objects. So click the add modifier, and let's come down here to subdivision surface. Click it, and it does something funny. In fact, it does something real funny. So let's get rid of that modifier for just a minute. Click the X right here. Go back to how it was. Let's go up here and get rid of the ground plane so that we can see our cup a little better. So click the eyeball, get rid of the ground plane. Let's go underneath it, go into edit mode by hitting tab, and right click, make sure face select is selected still. Right click on the very bottom, and we're going to delete that. So hit the delete key, not backspace, but delete. I'm going to delete that face, and now it's hollow and I can see the other bottom. In fact, well, no, let's do that separate. Okay, now I want to get edge select, and if I get that edge select, then I can right click on one of these bottom edges and I can click on them individually, but I want the whole thing. So I'm going to hold down Alt on the keyboard and right click it, and that selects the whole loop there all the way around. Alt right click. Once you've got that selected, we're going to extrude another face or several other faces onto it. We got rid of the old one because it was a solid one. We want a bunch of different ones. I'll show you why. It just helps smooth it better, actually. So hit E to extrude, and it's going to extrude new faces, but then we want to scale it down. So hit S to scale, and just type 0 on the keyboard. It could be on the top numbers or the side numbers, doesn't matter. 0 takes it down to 0, puts them all together, and then we have a new face. And in fact, it's several faces. And that's going to be better for smoothing. So now pan up, pan up to the top, so we're looking down into the cup, and we got to get face select again, so click this button for face select. Right click on that face inside the cup, so we're not on the bottom anymore, we're on the inside. Bottom inside, I guess. And hit the delete key to get rid of it. Delete the faces, which is just one face. Now this is a little bit tricky. Zoom in on a little bit, hold down shift and middle mouse button if you need to pan a little bit. Now there's a couple different loops here, and we need to select the correct one. So we just got rid of the one that's on top. This is the bottom one. We can see right through to the bottom one now. So we need to, get edge select right here. Click on one of those edges, not the bottom ones, but the top ones right there. So you got to get in a view where you can see that you're selecting the right ones. And then hold down Alt and right click. You don't have to click on it first, just do Alt right click on it to select that whole edge or that whole loop. And we're going to do the same. We're going to extrude, which looks really funny, but then when we scale it, S, so E to extrude, S to scale, 0 to take it to the middle. Okay, so a little detail that will make our smoothing much better. Okay, now that you've got that, let's go tab back out to object mode, and then let's grab the modifier again. So add modifier, subdivision surface, and it's going to smooth a little better. Let's take the level up. How many subdivisions? I usually do about 3, and the render I want the same so that it shows in the render also. So now that's a lot more smooth, but the bottom is not flat anymore, and that cup is just going to tip over. So to adjust that, we have a little trick here. So let's go back into edit mode, tab for edit mode, and see I've still got my frame there, but it's smoothing it, so it's bringing it inside the frame. So I want to bring it back out a little bit. Still want it smooth, but I want it more flat. So I'm going to do this loop, cut, and slide right here. So over in your menus, make sure you're selected on Tools, Loop, Cut, and Slide. Click that, and then come over here to the edge of the cup, and it gives you a little purple circle. Click, and then I can move it up and down. And that, as you can see, pulls the object back out to the frame. And so I'm just going to go all the way down here, and then click to set it, and it brought back my surface. I could tab out to object mode to see what it looks like, and that's a little better. Tab back into edit mode. I want to do the same for the top. So you can pan up to the top, hold down your shift middle mouse button to get to the right view. Do loop, cut, and slide again. Click on it where it's purple and drag it up here. This time I don't want to go all the way to the top. I want it a little more smooth on the top, or a little more rounded. So I'm going to take it to about that height. Okay, now I'm going to go inside the circle, and we need to adjust it on the inside as well because it's way too smooth there. Now loop, cut, and slide, and now I'm in the middle. I click and pull it down all the way to the bottom. Okay, I want to see the top a little better, so I'm going to loop, well actually, let's keep it in that view. Loop, cut, and slide in the middle, click, and pull it up not all the way. Right there. If you don't get it to the right spot, you can undo it and try again. And then it's really smooth. If I tab out to object mode, it looks a lot more smooth. And one last thing to smooth it out completely is this shading right here under Tools, Shading, Smooth. We don't want to use that before the subdivision surface. These two work together. And this is just kind of the final smoothing. And then it looks really good, really smooth. And there's my cup. So now, if I do a test render here, F12, see what it looks like smoothed. That looks a lot more polished, a lot better. Now, our final touch, which is the glass, which is the really fun part. So hit escape to get out of that view, and we're going to make this glass. Really simple with this program. So let's go to the materials tab. This round circle right here, kind of checkered, that's materials, and we're going to put a material on it. So get a new material, make sure your cup is selected, it probably is. New material, and gives it a name. I could rename it if I wanted to, but I won't deal with that. I won't worry about that for now. Right here, it's a diffuse shader, so that's why it's just white and it doesn't reflect any light or anything. I'm going to click on that right there, and I'm going to come up here to glass. If yours, you might need to scroll up on yours, but it's at the very top, glass. And right there, if I look at my preview, it's just going to render it as glass. It doesn't show right here until I render it. Then it will look like glass. So let's try that. F12 to render. And here's the magic. It is now a glass cup. And we don't have a lot of colors in here, so everything's gray. You have to add anything that you want, you have to add. So any colors or anything. And you could change the color of this thing that it's sitting on. I'll show you how to change the color of the glass, and then you'll know how to change colors. You can do it with anything. But there's a glass, and it looks pretty good. So let me hit escape again and just show you one other thing. I can change the color. So speaking of color, come down here, and this is the color. It's white, which in glass form is clear. So I click that color, and then I've got this giant color wheel, and I can make it any color I want. I'm going to do a little bit of green. And with glass, I want just a tiny bit of color. So there's a tiny bit of green. I almost can't even see it, and that's what I want. Because in glass, if I get a really dark color, it's not going to look very good. So I've got a really light color of green, and then I'm going to re-render it, F12. And then I've got some green glass. My wife would love it. She loves colored glass for some reason. Okay, looking really good. Now, that's the glass. That's the basics of it. Modeling and rendering, making something look nice. Now you might notice that it's really noisy or grainy. I can change that. It just takes longer to render. So let me just show you that real quick. Hit escape, come up to this camera tab. This is our render tab. And if I scroll down, this is how many samples it renders at. And I'm on 50. Default is 10. I changed it to 50 earlier. So it looks pretty good. But if I change that to like 200, it's going to look a lot better. It's going to take longer, but it's going to look a lot better also. And you could try 200. 500 is a good one too. I mean, you can go up really high, but usually for something so simple, 500 is pretty good. It just takes a minute to render, but it's going to look a lot better. So once you do that and get it rendered, there's your basic tutorial in 3D modeling. Lots of really cool things that we can do. As that's rendering, let me show you some other things that we can use or that we can model. I've modeled this, made it look ceramic. It looks pretty cool, a little mug. Modeled that from just a cube. What else? Let's see. Or a pool ball, which I haven't quite finished, but made it glossy as well. Really, there's a million options that you can do, and we can make anything look pretty lifelike if you really know what you're doing. So it's pretty fun. Back to my glass, and it's rendered. It looks very nice. Now that it's rendered, this is an image, and we can save it as an image. If you want to save it as an image, click Image down here, Save as Image, or F3 on the keyboard. It will bring up this menu system. You just It's a little bit different than our Windows menu system, but works kind of the same way. You just go to your documents right here, pick the folder that you want, give it a name up here, glass cup or whatever you want, hit enter, and then save as image. And it saves it to your files. And then it's just a regular image. It will open up in a Windows picture viewer, and you've just created a 3D model image, a 3D graphic.